How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Amityville Exorcism. This is from 2017, produced and directed by Mark Polonia, and stars Marie Delorenzo, Jeff Kirkendall, and James Carolus. Now, this is another in a very, very long line of unofficial Amityville sequels. The long and short of it is that Amityville's a real place. Anyone can set their movie there and make your own Amityville mockbuster. Although, that being said, this tagline at the top is hilariously bad. It can happen anywhere? If it can happen anywhere, then why is it so special that we're in Amityville? Whatever. But anyway, a lot of these unofficial Amityville movies are quite bad. And this is no exception. But I do want to say it is kind of in the fun bad camp. I don't want to say it's like the best, so bad it's good movie ever. But there were definitely some unintentional moments that I did get a bit of a laugh at. It is more cheesy than scary. And, you know, it's really not great. Out of all the Amityville movies, this is definitely in the bad pile. But it's closer to the top of the bad pile because it did have some cheese, it moved along at a good enough pace, it didn't drag terribly, and, you know, a lot of those bad Amityville movies are just lazy factory films. That's not what this is. This is legitimate low-budget issues and incompetence, and I'd much rather have that than a lazy movie, and you do get some weird little cheesy moments. In regards to the movie itself, it really doesn't understand how to make something scary. Scariness is like building and releasing tension properly, you know, getting a good atmosphere going. This doesn't understand that. And I think that they shot the movie, realized it wasn't super scary, and tried to just fix it in post, because the edit of this movie is just like, hey, we'll throw in some scary whispering sounds and a bunch of random imagery wherever we can get it. Scenes from later in the movie, yeah, just put them ahead. Or put a big random cartoon skull on the screen, why not? Showing the audience a skull will definitely make them scared. It doesn't work, and it comes off a little choppy, you know? But, I don't know, there's something just so cheesy about the movie thinking it's gonna get you with this crazy editing. And as far as unscary characters, the film's main villain, I call him Party City Guy, because he's got a red mask that's literally that cheap. I think they're like $2. You know, you go to the back of Party City and they have those generic human face masks and they're like different colors. They grabbed the red one and paired it with a red cloak, which is way too bright and clean, and he doesn't look like a scary demon. He looks like a guy that didn't think he was gonna dress up for Halloween and had to pull a costume out at the last minute. He's just standing there. He looks like a guy in a costume. I am so not scared of him. And they do try a bunch of random things. They do sequences that they think are gonna scare us. I really love how later in the movie, for just one scene, I think it sets it up a little bit by showing us the scary dolls, but like towards the end it randomly becomes a scary doll movie, and they're so clearly puppeted by a guy just off camera, and it is hilarious, and I love the stupid doll sequence in this movie. It's great. But yeah, just generic low-budget movie problems. Have to also mention the bad acting. And the thing with the bad acting here is I can tell that they're trying to put emotion into it, but it never reads as natural and human, and there's just something that off about it. A little bit wooden without being Rod from Birdemic, you know? And the edit is kind of weird. I mentioned the weird stuff earlier, but there's like a scene where she starts to take a shower, and then once she gets in, just nothing happens and we move on to the next scene. Low budget stuff, but at least this one, even though it follows a very predictable path to a very formulaic exorcism, at least the movie's short, And being short, it doesn't drag as bad as a lot of these other bad Amityville movies. And I know, like I said, it's not the biggest, best, so bad it's good movie ever, but it does have a fair amount of cheese, and it's not near as bad as a lot of them, which if you've only ever seen this unofficial sequel, you'll go, this is terrible, how can they be any worse? But trust me, there are lots of Amityville movies worse than this, and even though it's not great, yeah, I had a bit of a fun time with it. So if you want something for bad movie night, it's not a Night to Dismember or Birdemic or any of the classics, but you can have some fun with this. I guess in order to analyze it further, let's talk a bit about the plot. I'll be avoiding the ending, so no major spoilers, but I do want to dig down and do a little bit of analysis. So without further ado, let's dig in. We open up with essentially the opening of Halloween, but with a hammer, and it's kind of funny how Halloween works and this one, which is copying it, really doesn't. Part of it is because of how cheap it feels, and part of it is too, you can tell that they really messed with this with that choppy editing style, and there's like one scene where the guy's walking too slow and they speed it up in post. Whatever though, it's bad, but it's got some cheese to it, and we find out the guy was a contractor, which is why he killed people with a hammer, and it turns out he did renovations to the Amityville house before it was cleansed, and that's why he went crazy. He gets this priest to, talk to before he's put to death, and he tells the priest, you have to help this family. I took wood from the Amityville house and used it in renovations in their house. Now, I do want to say, Amityville 4 tried to get us scared of a lamp. This movie legitimately tries to get us scared of a pile of scrap wood. It's just in the basement leaning against the wall. The scary scrap wood. They don't even tell us where the not scrap wood that he legitimately used is, You might as well have tried to get us scared of a spot on the floor too, but whatever. The priest is actually the brother of the priest that died cleansing the Amityville house, so he has a bit of a personal vendetta, and he's gonna go try to save this family. And then we get the family. It's a dad and a daughter. The dad is a drunk who in the past had hit his kid. So he's bad, but he's not like a Jack Torrance, pressure cooker or anything. In fact, it's the daughter that gets possessed. So he's our main character. The drunk child beater is our main character. Is this movie clever written enough to do a redemption arc? No. The basics of a redemption arc is that the worst of it is just simply told to us as something that happened before the movie. He's grumpy in the first act and then kind of switches to being dopey, and he makes a vague effort to stop his drinking. That's his redemption. The drunk child beater is our main character, and that's all the development we get with him. Cool. Well, what about the kid? Well, the kid has a boyfriend and is mad at her father. She's not super developed, but, well, one of the funny things about her is the part was clearly written for a much younger actress. She's like sneaking out to go see her boyfriend, and I'm like, you're 30. You don't have to sneak out of the house. In fact, she doesn't look that much younger than the actor playing her father. And I'm like, so you wrote the part for a kid, couldn't get a kid, and just had an adult play the part. That's whatever. She's the one that's eventually going to get possessed, and she goes from walking around blandly to walking around a little stiffer with slightly angrier eyes. And then we'll get some horror sequences as the priest is eventually going to meet the family, and basically Red Man popping up, Mr. Party City, and he'll, like with the priest, he'll like be in the TV, he'll be in a dream sequence, and he'll like, grab the steering wheel when he's driving. He's always just kind of there, and he's never scary. At least when he shows up in Amityville, he can actually kill people. I guess the girl's not fully possessed because he just kind of pops up next to her, and he has like a glowing hand that just makes people die in crazy ways, you know? If this was an old school Italian movie, this would have been way funner, but here it's just way too cheap and not bonkers enough, but at least people are dying. Once the priest eventually gets to the family, super formulaic. Here's what the problem is, let me cleanse the house, and let's do a super predictable exorcism scene. But again, at least we move at a steady enough clip. I do like, though, when they cleanse the house, you have the priest throwing holy water, and he's not near into it enough. He's just like splash, splash, and they show him cover the entire house. There's way too many scenes, like, better get the shed now. They just show him do everything. Whatever. It plays out in an okay enough ending. It gets there quick enough. It is on the shorter side. So overall, the movie really isn't great, but you can get a few laughs out of it. Again, not the craziest so bad it's good movie ever, but I've seen a ton of these that are barely movies where the people weren't even trying and they were just making a factory film on autopilot. Here, it doesn't work, but, you know, it works better than most of this garbage. So, whatever. If you want a bad horror movie, this is fine for that. It's not great, though. Anyway, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist on the bottom. This should be my Amityville playlist, where you can see me talk about a bunch of other unofficial Amityville films. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Relevant playlist on the bottom. Have a good day now.